What's up, guys? We are back with a big Saturday of NCAA football action here on Saturday, August 31st. This is our first college football video on the channel and our first one of the season, so let us know in the comments how pumped you are for NCAA football and NFL videos on the weekends. If you want to win all of your bets this weekend, hit that like button. It's good luck and shows support for the channel and all the hard work we're putting in every single day. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on our daily content and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on the value of the early lines. Our videos are sponsored by StumpTheSpread.com. We have a team of experienced cappers over there for every major sport, currently covering MLB, NCAA football, UFC, and the NFL. Click the link in the description if you're interested in signing up and also to join our free email list to get the occasional free or premium picks straight to your inbox. Comment below with any bets you're looking at today and we'll give you our best advice on all of them. We are committed to responding to every single comment every day, so let us know anything you want to say about my picks, these videos, or anything you see here. As always, our favorite picks will be in the pinned comment down below. Now let's get into our first game of the day. We've got the number 14 Clemson Tigers taking on the number 1 Georgia Bulldogs. Clemson and Dabo Swinney didn't do much in the transfer portal this season, but this team comes into this year looking like possibly the best team in the ACC. Honestly, Clemson has been insanely good, going 30-10 since 2021. New offensive coordinator Garrett Riley had this offense averaging 23.6 points per game last season, and the major focus right now has to be getting this squad putting up better numbers on that side of the ball. Cade Klubnik has been supposed to take a big step forward this year, and Phil Maffa should be one of the top running back options in the ACC. The offensive line should be very good, bringing back 4 starters from last season, but they really need the receivers to make a big step up here. Whether the lack of production is due to themselves or poor quarterback play, still kind of up in the air. On defense, Clemson is returning only 2 starters, so the level of concern for this unit has to be pretty high. TJ Parker and Peter Woods are supposed to be rising stars, and linebacker Barrett Carter could have gone to the NFL after last season, but decided to come back to school. There are also some interesting pieces in the secondary that should make this defense at least decent, if not great, this season. In terms of their opponent in this game, the Georgia Bulldogs come into this one looking great, guys. Kirby Smart has this team loaded up and ready for another title run despite falling short of their three-peat last year. Carson Beck is back after an incredible season where he put up nearly 4,000 yards and 24 touchdowns. This offensive line is looking insane. Once again, it feels like the Georgia offensive line is basically just a farm system for the NFL at this point, as they churn out monsters there essentially every single year. Trevor Etienne should be a great addition to the running back core, and he's got to be pumped to run behind this stellar offensive line. The Georgia wide receiver core has also gotten much better in the offseason with Dylan Bell ready for a very big year. On defense, Georgia should be among the best in college football. Defensive coordinator Glenn Schumann returns 6 starters, including monster safety Malaki Starks and premium edge rusher Michael Williams. The Bulldogs will need some of the incoming guys to step up, especially in the secondary, and need to show improvement against the run, but generally speaking, guys, this team is looking awesome on the defensive side of the ball. Very, very little for me to complain about here. In this matchup, guys, Georgia has been very good against ACC opponents, going 9-3 against the spread against ACC opponents on neutral sites. Clemson is 1-5 over their last 6 games at neutral sites against non-conference opponents. Georgia has been good right out of the gate here in season openers, winning their last 10 season openers in a row. Guys, we are looking at taking Georgia to get the win and cover in this one. I expect them to pull away late in this game, despite going against a pretty solid opponent here. I just don't see Clemson's offense being up to the task against Georgia, and with both teams capable of running the ball in this game, I also think you might want to take a pretty serious look at the under in this one. I think it's certainly live in this spot, under 48.5. I know that's not the biggest number here in college football, but with both teams running the ball, I don't think we're going to see crazy numbers going up, so definitely worth it to take a look at that under. Next up, guys, we're looking at the number 8 Penn State Nittany Lions going on the road to take on the West Virginia Mountaineers. Penn State comes into this game, guys. They've been knocking on the door but haven't made it into the college football playoffs yet, but with 12 teams getting in this season, you have to think James Franklin will be getting his program in there. The Nittany Lions offense has to get better here, as that's what has kept them behind some of the better teams in the Big Ten. A new offensive coordinator coming over from Kansas will be looking to get quarterback Drew Aller going even better this season than he did last year, where he put up 25 touchdowns and only 5 interceptions. He didn't look good against teams like Michigan and Ohio State, but I expect him to show more confidence this season in the big moments, which could be a huge deal for the fortunes of this team going up against elite opponents. Bringing in Julian Fleming from Ohio State should definitely help this offense, and the running game, once again, guys, should be among the best out there in all of college football. On defense, the Nittany Lions have a new coordinator, bringing in Tom Allen from Indiana, and after this defense was 3rd and 9th respectively in each of the last 2 seasons on that side of the ball, the bar is set extremely high here right out of the gate. Abdul Carter will be the cornerstone backbone of a very strong defensive line, and the second level should be very good also, with Kobe King and Tony Rojas out there. The need to replace 2 starting corners is a bit of a concern, but with 2 very good safeties back there, I don't think it's time to panic at all, guys. I think this secondary is going to be very, very reasonable. In terms of their opponent in this game, the Mountaineers last season, it was a great one for them. They went 9-4 after very low expectations coming into that year. Neil Brown coached his way out of probably getting fired in the offseason, and now they have 13 starters back for the 2024 year and are considered one of the contenders for a spot in the Big 12 title game. Guys, what a turnaround there for West Virginia. Quarterback Garrett Green had a breakout season a year ago, and this running game should be elite behind Donaldson and White. The offensive line brought back 3 starters, and while they are missing their starting center from last season, this should once again be an elite offensive line. And guys, you know how big of a difference being strong in the trenches can make in football. Also, the Mountaineers brought back effectively their entire wide receiver core, and all in all, guys, this is looking like a plus level offense here coming from West Virginia. So looking at their defense here, the Mountaineers need to show some improvement, especially against the pass, where they were one of the worst teams in the Big 12 a year ago, especially in conference play. They really struggled against the pass. Bringing in a bunch of guys through the portal, though, should certainly help, and the Mountaineers have a safety in Aubrey Burks who could end up being an All-American. I do think that this defense could make a significant leap, especially in the secondary, and that could catapult this team to having even a better year than they did in 2023, when really they were one of the breakout, good feel-good stories there in their conference. So looking at this matchup, guys, I'm going to be siding with the under in this game. Both teams like to run the ball and have the tools to do that with elite offensive lines and very solid running back options. Also, both teams should be good on defense, with West Virginia making big improvements in the secondary and the Nittany Lions being one of the best defenses over the last couple of seasons. Given the under 50.5 in this one, I think it's some very, very reasonable value. Also, guys, we have a premium pick on the side in this game over at stumpthespread.com, so definitely take a look in there. Check out signing up for a premium membership if you are interested in finding out more about this game and about the best value we found on the board in NCAA football. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the Virginia Tech Hokies going on the road to take on the Vanderbilt Commodores. The Hokies closed out their 2023 season going 5-2 down the stretch, and the hope for their fans is that this program is headed in a good direction now under head coach Brent Pry. The offense is somehow returning 11 starters from last season. Pretty wild stuff there, including their starting quarterback, who is being looked at as someone to watch this season, just generally speaking. Kyron Drones didn't put up a wild amount of yards last season, but 17 touchdowns and only 13 interceptions is certainly a good thing. Some big positives to look at there. The running back core is solid for this squad, and with 4 starters coming back for the offensive line, which is obviously a very, very big deal, the running game should be alive and well for them once again. Jalen Lane at wide receiver could help Drones here have a much easier time getting the ball down the field, and the dream is that if this unit can really come together here and show significant improvement over their, what they did last season, that they could end up competing here for a trip to the ACC title game. On defense, Virginia Tech was not bad last year, allowing only 23.8 points per game, and bringing back 8 starters make this unit look like it shouldn't miss a beat. Having great cornerbacks is always a huge plus in college football, and the Hokies have both Dorian Strong and Mansour Deland out there to lock down their respective sides of the field. With all the strength in the secondary, there is concern that this team didn't do much to address their inability to stop the run, and the hope is that Middle Tennessee linebacker transfer Sam Brumfield will help out, but I'm not really holding my breath, guys. Stopping the run, probably the biggest concern I have for Virginia Tech's defense coming into this season. Their opponent in this game, Vanderbilt, is hoping to show some signs of improvement after back-to-back seasons going 0-8 in SEC play. Clark Lee might not be 100% on the hot seat yet, but if he can't show that this program is improving, and with 4 years under his belt, he could find himself unemployed if things don't, look to be progressing in a positive direction after this season. The whole offensive staff has been overhauled, and the hope is that quarterback transfer Diego Pavia could come and get things going in the right direction right out of the gate here. Cedric Alexander is a very good running back option in his sophomore year, but is this offensive line going to be very good after an absolutely terrible year a season ago? And how really good is this reshuffled wide receiver group going to be? I've got a lot of questions about Vanderbilt coming into this year, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Defensively, this team has been terrible for the last 3 seasons, coming up dead last in the SEC. The head coach is taking over the defensive play calling responsibility, and the hope is that change in bringing in 7 transfers will make this defense good, but Over only a single offseason, guys, I'm not seeing drastic change coming down the pike here. Linebacker Lanston Patterson was a all-SEC selection for 2024, so hopefully he can carry them. But even if the second level is good, this defense is, what's gonna make up for the subpar pass rush and a secondary that I've yet to see slow down really any meaningful opponents. Guys, in this game, we're looking at taking Virginia Tech. Don't think they're going to struggle to win by 2 touchdowns, as they're by far the better offensive team. And personally, I'm not buying all these changes from Vanderbilt as a squad that's getting all this hype right now. I think they're going to have a really, really rough time here, and I think they're going to have a really, really rough time in their SEC general, schedule overall. So give me Virginia Tech in this one. I think it's very solid value. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Yukon Huskies going on the road to take on the Maryland Terrapins. Yukon, last season, guys, the Huskies took a big step back. While they did win their last 2 games of the year, it was not the season they were hoping for, coming off of a bowl appearance in 2022. Only 4 starters are back for this offense, and they were not good a season ago, putting up only 19.1 points per game. That's pretty freaking bad, guys, especially in college football. The Huskies starting quarterback and tight end both transferred out, and we have a quarterback competition with one guy coming back from injury and Nick Evers transferring in from Wisconsin. Cam Edwards and Victor Rosa make up a pretty solid running back core, and I'd be excited for this running game if I felt better about this offensive line that for sure got worse over the offseason with the departure of Christian Haynes, an all-American guard. So yeah, guys, not a ton of positive things for me to say here about the Huskies offense. Seems like it could be a tough season unless we see some guys really, come out of nowhere and really, really excel. On defense, the Huskies are hoping new coordinator Matt Brock, coming over from Mississippi State, can inject some hope into a unit that really needs to improve after an absolutely terrible 2023 campaign where they gave up 29.8 points per game. The defensive line should be all right, but I struggle to think they're going to be elite, and the linebacker core took a significant hit with Jackson Mitchell now being gone. Yukon had a terrible secondary last season, and there really is very little I've seen done in the offseason that makes me think they're going to be way, way better. And guys, they would need to improve a lot to be an even, normal level, a reasonable, an average level secondary. So big concerns there for this defense. And guys, looking at their opponent in this game, guys, the Terrapins have now gone 2 seasons in a row of winning 8 games, but breaking through to the next level obviously is a very, very tall task. Mike Loxley has 3 great options to move into starting quarterback role, and whoever ends up winning that battle is going to have a very solid level of talent around them, guys. Roman Hemby is a great running back option, and I think he is in for a good season. And with Preston Howard at tight end and Caden Prather at wide receiver, there are weapons at every level for this offense. The big concern on this side of the ball for Maryland is they're going to be running 4 new offensive line starters out there in game 1. Obviously, being able to win that battle of the trenches and protect the quarterback and make holes there for the running game, all that stuff, very, very key there. So this offensive line is going to need to gel here right out of the gates. On defense, the Terrapins were very good a season ago, and they still have an extremely solid front 4. The linebacker core also is looking very good with a solid front 4 and a good linebacker group. This should be an extremely rough team to run the ball against, and should also be pretty good at pressuring opposing quarterbacks. The secondary is a bit of a question mark, as there were a few key departures, and unless they really impress out of the gate, I'm thinking this could be a team to pass the ball against pretty often, pretty frequently. I mean, yeah, not sold in this secondary necessarily, but running the ball against the Terrapins should be something of a nightmare. Guys, looking at this matchup here, Maryland is actually 10-0 against their last 10 non-conference opponents that have visited them, and Yukon is 4-28 over their last 32 road games. That's pretty crazy, and they have failed to cover in 6 of their last 7 road openers where they were an underdog. I like Maryland minus 19.5 in this spot, playing at home against a very much rebuilding opponent. I also think there's reason to take a look at that under 44.5, since I think Yukon really going to struggle to score while trying to run the ball a lot, and we also definitely think Maryland's going to be trying to run the ball as well, so that would put offense at something of a premium, but both of those plays look very, very good to me. Make sure you check that pinned comment to see which one of these ends up in there. Hey guys, jumping in here with a quick ad break. First of all, this is a great time to sign up at stumpthespread.com. Signing up for a premium membership gets you access to our entire team of cappers covering MLB, NCAA football, UFC, and the NFL. If you just want to test out the service, a great way to do that is by joining our free email list, which will get you the occasional free or premium pick straight to your inbox. Just go ahead and click that link in the description. It'll take you right over to stumpthespread.com. Also, guys, just to clarify some of the questions we've been getting in the emails and in the comments, I am not the MLB capper for stumpthespread.com. These YouTube picks are obviously free to everyone and are just what I am am seeing out there, we have an expert with nearly 15 years of experience that covers MLB and has a very strong algorithm and some very cool tools that he uses to bring our premium members the best picks possible. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you're new. Now back to the games. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Colorado State Rams going on the road to take on the number 4 Texas Longhorns. Colorado State missed out on a bowl game last season thanks to a tough November loss at Hawaii, but now with Jay Norvell in his second year, this program is hoping to take a big step forward. They ran pretty bad in close games last season, or their season record overall would have looked even better. Their offense should be in good shape, being led by quarterback Braden Fowler-Nicolosi, who has to be stoked to be throwing the ball to All-American wide receiver Torrey Horton. He's back for what will likely be his last season before heading to the NFL. The offensive line is returning 3 starters and looks to be significantly improved from a year ago, and that should help Justin Marshall to pick up where he left off at the end of last season, looking like a monster out there in the running game. On defense last year, the Rams were not good in conference play, and while defensive coordinator Freddie Banks might have a good group to work with this season, including 6 returning starters, I'm still a little bit worried about them. I don't think the defensive line has improved, but there are certainly some solid pieces for Colorado State on the defensive side of the ball, and when you return 6 starters, there's always reason to think that the group can get a little bit better as a whole. Just building up a little bit of experience there can definitely make something of a difference, although I'm not expecting a landslide difference here. They're going up against one of the toughest opponents you can start your season off with in college football, guys. Are taking on the Longhorns, who come into the season with a lot of hype and behind coach Steve Starkinson and a 12-win campaign last season. This team is looking to compete for a national championship. Quarterback Quinn Ewers is going to be back for his 3rd season under center, and he has a ton of weapons out there after we saw a lot of key departures from the skill positions in the offseason. Isaiah Bond will be expected to do big things for the Longhorns in the passing game, and CJ Baxter is going to be looked to for another great year of the running the ball. This offensive line is looking absolutely elite, guys. That's probably the biggest strength of this team right now and might be the best in the NCAA, with 4 starters coming back and absolutely tons and tons of success a year ago. Guys, on defense, Texas will be looking to prove the move to the SEC is not a big deal, and while they did have to replace a good chunk of their defensive line, the transfer portal has been a big help with the addition of Trey Moore, who should make a big impact rushing off the edge. The secondary had some trouble in the Big 12 a season ago, and I don't think being in the SEC makes that any easier, but some transfers and another year of experience for some guys should have them showing at least some improvement over the numbers that they were putting up last season, despite that big move to the SEC. I'm going to be taking a hard look at the under in this game, guys. 8 of the last 10 games that the Longhorns have played against opponents outside of the AP rankings have gone under, and each of Colorado State's last 3 road games have gone under as well. With such a big number out there and this being the first game of the season for both teams, I'm not totally confident in these 2 offenses being 100%. That would lead to more scoring and more use of the running game here. So guys, I'm definitely siding with the under in this one. There is a premium pick on this game over at stumpthespread.com, so definitely consider clicking the link in the description and going over there if you want to get in on some of the best college football picks and all of the business. Our Stump the Spread NCAA Football capper is an absolute wizard. Next on the docket, we're looking at the Miami Hurricanes going on the road to take on the Florida Gators in a big rivalry game there in Florida. The Hurricanes come into this one trying to take a big step forward this year, and there are expectations they could even compete for a spot in the now expanded college football playoff. Miami is looking to throw their hat in the ring as a serious contender for the ACC championship, but they are going to need quarterback Cameron Ward and running back Damian Martinez to both get up to speed really fast after being brought in as transfers. This should be one of the most talented wide receiver cores in the ACC, which should definitely help Ward get off to a fast start. And with an offensive line that's bringing back 3 of their starters, there's not reason to really think this offense should, not be able to just get off to a flying start here right out of the gate. I'm expecting big things from the Miami Hurricanes offense this season in general, assuming that those transfers can really settle in and, everybody get on the same page. On defense, Miami has a lot to prove this year as they come in with a completely reworked secondary and a lot of transfers that are going to need to fit in with the group really fast for the squad to get where they want to go. While the secondary is something of a question mark coming into this week 1, the defensive line is another story. Bringing in Michigan State transfer Simeon Barrow should help the interior of this line be even better, and bringing back a couple of solid defensive ends should make the pass rush here for the Hurricanes a pretty scary thing. And honestly, that pass rush and the strength of their skill positions here has a lot to do with why the Hurricanes are ranked 19th in the nation. They're taking on their in-state rivals here in the Florida Gators, who are hoping they can build towards a 6+ win season and get themselves into a bowl game after winning 5 games a year ago. Head coach Billy Napier is now in his 3rd season leading this program, and with Florida facing an extremely tough season, he has a tall task ahead. Quarterback Graham Mertz had a great 2023 campaign, passing for nearly 3,000 yards and 20 touchdowns, and only being picked off 3 times. And with some very good skill position guys, he could be poised for another solid year. Montrell Johnson has to feel like he's in for another good season running the ball, as the offensive line returns 3 starters, and Eugene Wilson III is supposed to be a very, very plus level pass catcher. So generally speaking, I'm not hating the the amount of weapons and the amount of pieces here in the skill positions that I'm seeing from the Florida Gators. Defense, on the other hand, was a huge problem for the Gators last season, getting completely shredded in the SEC and being totally unable to stop the run. Bringing in Ron Roberts to take over the defense is supposed to make a difference, but with the play calling being done by the same dude, I'm not sure I'm sold on these changes. Bringing in some transfers is supposed to help, but they're relying pretty heavily on guys from last season to show improvement, something that feels like a pretty big ask to me given this entire situation. So looking at this matchup, guys, the spread feels like a gift to me on this one, but in what feels like a big rivalry game here in week 1, anything is possible. All that being said, I'm leaning heavily towards the Miami Hurricanes, favored here by less than a field goal. I know it's a tough situation playing on the road in this game, but I feel like the talent edge is way in the side of the Hurricanes, and if this is a trap situation, I guess I'm going to fall for it here, going with Miami. I also think you could take a solid look here at the under in this game with the chances that we see the Gators really struggle to put up any offense. So yeah, guys, those are my leans in this one. I definitely like Miami against the spread in this spot a very good amount. Rolling right along here, guys, we're looking at the Boise State Broncos going on the road to take on the Georgia Southern Eagles. Boise State comes into this one, guys. Spencer Danielson was handed the reins after finding lots of success at the end of last year as the interim head coach, and now is being asked to keep this squad atop the Mountain West. The dream for this team is to find a way into the group of 5 spot in the college football playoff this season. Aston Genty is one of the most exciting skill position guys in all of college football, and with USC transfer Macaulay Nelson in at quarterback, this offense should be able to put up some great numbers. Nelson should have plenty of time to get the ball downfield with 4 starters back on the offensive line, and he has a ton of options in the passing game. Anytime they get tired of handing the ball to Genty and letting him do the work, they can just fire it up out there to those wide receivers. I'm expecting very, very good things from this Boise State offense, which is pretty much what you expect from this program every season. Something else you can usually expect, guys, defensively, this team always seems to be pretty middle of the road, and that was no exception last year where they gave up over 6 yards per snap. There should be plenty of talent out there with a very solid front 4 and an above average linebacker in Andrew Simpson, but with their secondary, there are a lot of question marks. The Broncos were 7th in the Mountain West in pass defense last year, and there's reason to think a year of experience might have made them a little bit better. I think Ty Benefield is really going to have an incredible season at safety for this defense to be anywhere near above average. Just a situation, once again, where we see Boise State being very good on offense, maybe not so hot there on defense. Their matchup in this game, guys, they're going against the Georgia Southern Eagles, who are looking to find some consistency this year after starting their season great in 2023 before going 0-5 to end the year. Clay Helton is coming into his 3rd season here, and the hope is to return to a bowl game here in 2024. The offense took some big losses with quarterback Davis Brin departing and losing wide receiver Caleb Hood, but possibly even a bigger problem could be the loss of 3 starters from the offensive line that could really mess up this offense if they can't fill those spots and have them ready to go in week 1. There are good skill players on this roster and some interesting transfers that could lead to this offense having at least 2 to 3 good wide receiver options, but with the quarterback situation a bit unsettled between French and Dexter Williams, I could see this unit being decent, but I could also see them being pretty freaking bad here, guys. I'm not excited about the Eagles on offense. On defense, Georgia Southern was really not so good in 2023, giving up 30 points per contest, but coordinator Brandon Bailey has some reason for optimism. Bringing back 8 starters has a chance of leading to improvement, and the defensive line shouldn't be terrible at stopping the run. But what is this team going to do against the pass? I have a good amount of questions remaining about this defense, and that is not what you want coming into a season. In this matchup, guys, I'm leaning towards the over. We have seen the Eagles go over in 6 of their last 7 games overall, and with an offense that should score and a defense that can't stop anyone, I'm expecting lots of scoring, and 6 of the last 7 Boise State road games have gone over thanks to their high-powered offense that likes throwing the ball. So generally speaking, I think we're going to see plenty of offense in this game. If you want a premium pick against the spread in this one, guys, head head on over to stumpthespread.com. I know you're probably getting tired of hearing me say that, but that's really where you can find the best information on these college football games. Next up, guys, we're looking at one of the premier matchups of the day. We've got number 7 Notre Dame going on the road to take on number 20 Texas A&M. There is lots of hype surrounding the Fighting Irish coming into this season, and with an expanded college football playoff system, everyone in South Bend is out here hoping that this could be their shot to really compete for a national title. Marcus Freeman has had this team looking good over the last 2 seasons, and bringing in Mike Denbrook in to be the offensive coordinator after he led LSU to be the best scoring offense in the NCAA, the expectations are absolutely sky high. Bringing in quarterback Riley Leonard from Duke and a bunch of highly touted skill players puts this offense in a great spot outside of the offensive line that has lost a couple of guys to the NFL here in the offseason. So yeah, if you have a terrible offensive line, guys, you could have a really rough time, but it seems like all the, the information out there is telling me they have plugged those holes and they are going to be just fine here, even right out of the gate. On defense, Notre Dame is slated to be among the best in the entire nation. They're bringing back a ton of dudes and have 4 preseason All-American selections waiting to go nuts once again this year. And in a sport where it's tough to dominate on the defensive side of the ball, this team for sure has a definite shot of doing just that. Generating pressure off the edge could be on the short list of needs for this team, but defensive coordinator Al Golden has to be feeling great with how things are looking right now. This Notre Dame defense is going to be scary out there, guys. So we'll see what they can do here against Texas A&M. Mike Elko is being touted as the savior of this program, but is hoping to find a way to be successful here in the new look SEC. Elko turned things around for Duke, and with an Aggies team that has failed to live up to expectation over the last couple of years, he's hoping to get Connor Weigman going again after missing most of last season. Bringing back Reuben Owens should help this team be strong in the running game, and there is a great chance this offensive line will be very good after bringing back 3 starters from the offensive line that wasn't terrible last season. On defense, Texas A&M was very good last season, giving up only 23.1 points per game in the SEC, but they didn't fare well against winning teams, which is obviously something that has to improve if they're going to make a run at the college football playoffs. Up front, this defense should definitely be good, and bringing in Purdue transfer Nick Skirton should definitely help. The secondary was not good a season ago, but some key transfers could turn that around right away, but it's kind of a wait and see situation for me here on this secondary. Guys, Notre Dame has some nice trends pointed their way for this game. The Fighting Irish have won 5 of their last 7 road openers and have covered the spread in 4 of their last 5 games against opponents from the Southeastern Conference. The Aggies have dropped 4 straight against teams ranked in the top 15, and they failed to cover the spread in each of their last 5 games against ranked opponents. In terms of the over-under, I'm seeing a number that looks pretty low, but with 2 offenses that can score and only 1 defense that I trust, I'm leaning slightly towards the over, but I think the value in this game very much is in taking the Fighting Irish and the points. This is one of my favorite plays of the day. There's a reason this ended up as the free pick over there at Stump the Spread. This Notre Dame team seems to be in a very, very good spot if you ask me. Last but not least, guys, we are going to look at the New Mexico Lobos going on the road to take on the number 21 Arizona Wildcats. New Mexico, guys, the Lobos didn't get off to the start they wanted to their year, giving up a 4th quarter lead and eventually losing to Montana State 31-35 to open their season. Devin Dampier looked fine, but 172 yards and a touchdown isn't really that impressive to me. The running game looked good, and that's nice, but it wasn't enough in that game, and New Mexico couldn't stop the run at all in that loss, giving up 205 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. They also gave up 200 plus passing yards and 2 passing touchdowns. Having 5 new starters on the offensive line is a pretty tough look for the success of Dampier in the passing game and the running game, which took a hit in the offseason with their 1,000-yard rusher transferring to Arizona. Last season, the Lobos defense was terrible, allowing 37.6 points per game, and they didn't get off to a good start to the year at all. The hope is that this front 7 that was built through the transfer portal would lead to significant improvement, but what I saw in game 1 really didn't fill me with optimism. There's still time for the squad to improve, but I have a lot more concerns than I have positive things to say. Arizona, the Wildcats, guys, they put up 10 wins last season, but now under a new head coach in Brent Brennan, it will be time to see if they can stay on track here coming into the Big 12. Noah Fafita and wide receiver McMillan are regarded as one of the best wide receiver quarterback duos in the nation, and they should have a solid 1-2 punch coming out of the backfield thanks in large part to the transfer portal. Arizona is bringing back 3 starters on the offensive line, and honestly, it's looking like this should once again be one of the best offenses here in the Big 12. On defense, this team is a complete completely different situation. Over the last couple of years, Arizona has been getting a little better on the defensive side of the ball, but this season could be a little bit weird. The defensive line is going to be much different with 4 key guys now missing, but the dream is that San Jose State transfer Trey Smith will be able to help right off the bat, generating pressure off the edge, but that is yet to be seen. Overall, I've got my questions about this defense, but they're not facing a very tough opponent here in their opening game of the season, so maybe they'll be fine. They're going to get a chance to ramp up slowly here, not taking on the toughest opponent. Guys, looking at this matchup, Arizona has covered the spread in each of their last 6 home games, which is pretty interesting. New Mexico has covered the spread in each of its last 3 games as an underdog. Looking at the total for this game, it's not a small number, but looking at these 2 offenses, it could shake out differently than you might think. Each of Arizona's last 4 games as a favorite have gone to the over, and the over is 8-2 in the last 10 games we have seen New Mexico play. Guys, take the over in this one with both offenses looking good and neither defense really looking good in my book. I think we're going to see plenty of offense in this game. Is there a chance that Arizona could cover that 30.5? Sure, but guys, over under 58.5, well, that's a very big number. Obviously, not that big of a number here in college football. I'm expecting to see plenty of offense. I think we could see a game where Arizona wins like 40-20 or something like that. So yeah, maybe you'd want to take a look at the Lobos, in the points in this game, but really, guys, I think the value in this one is on that over. That's all the games we have for today, guys. Hit that like button for good luck on all of your bets and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Let me know in the comments any questions you have on today's slate. Thanks for watching. You can click the link in the description to check out stumpthespread.com, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for more sports betting action.